Hey, we live. Good evening, everybody. Alori Mario says you're so beautiful. Thank you. I'm sure you're beautiful too. So, in this live stream, we'll be talking about, I'll be answering some questions about locks. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask them. However, I'll be going over these like three specific topics more in depth because I asked them to you all on a poll. These three specific questions. Number one, that got the most votes, is how do you moisturize, like moisture tips for low porosity locks, which I have a couple of them that I know work for my locks because I definitely have low porosity locks and have made a couple videos on them. So I'll just reiterate what I've made in videos. Another one I will talk about is tips for getting thicker semi-freeform locks if maybe you don't retwist and your hair grows away from your locks, or maybe you get breakage, etc. I'll be answering that one. And then the third one, how to know that you want to lock your hair, more so for people who haven't started locks yet but know that they want to lock their hair either soon or later on. So if you're just coming in, hello, say hi to everybody else. And we'll go ahead and get started. Drop your questions, and this live's probably gonna be like an hour or so. So yeah, sit back and hey, Brittany's live. Zoe said that got my starter locks today. They are thin and short, but I'm trusting the process. Hey, congrats on you starting your locks. Yeah, definitely trust the process. Have you seen my locks when I first started? I mean, when I first started, I did not think that they were gonna be this thick. And also just think about how many hairs that your hair produces over time. Um, when you have like loose natural hair and you brush your hair all the time, think about like when you brush your hair, how many hairs come out in your brush. Well, then that many hairs are gonna like stay in your locks and form. So it's definitely gonna get thicker. Definitely trust the process. Hey, took way. Oh, I look one way when my locks are wet. Then, then who did it and why when they're dry? That's so relatable. Especially when I was first starting out, because one thing I learned is that your locks kind of like shrink and they expand, they shrink and expand throughout the whole process. Like even when they start maturing, they still do that. Sometimes, maybe possibly if you look at the thumbnails of my videos, the like face picture, you'll see that like some videos my hair will look longer. Some videos, like literally the next video, my hair will look a lot shorter. And I film for the most part all of my videos in sequence. But that just goes to show that on wash day or like right after wash day, my hair looks a lot longer. Um, a couple days later, it will look a lot shorter. So, um, yeah, definitely trust the process. Do you do your own hair? Oh, I'm not sure who you're asking that to. Maybe Brittany? Okay, well, let's get started. Drop your questions down below or down in the comment section, and I'll be sure to answer them after we get to the initial questions that you all voted for on the polls. So the first one, let me actually also check the comments to make sure that oh snap, sorry. Oh my gosh, I know that was loud. uh Let me check the comments on that same post to make sure. Okay. All right. So the first one is like any tips on moisturizing low porosity locks. So first I'll first just like explain oh, you're asking me who do I do my own hair? Yes, I do my own hair. So yeah, I'll explain what low porosity locks mean. Low porosity hair in general. When you go to wash your hair or spritz your hair with water, do you notice that your hair soaks up water easily, or maybe it takes a while for your hair to be submerged in water for your hair to actually absorb moisture? So it's the ability for your hair to absorb moisture. Sort of think of like a sponge. if a sponge doesn't absorb as much of the moisture, then it's a low porosity sponge. But if it absorbs moisture as soon as it gets in the water, it has high porosity. It's easily porous. So I personally do have low porosity locks, low porosity hair. And my first tip is, this is a bit taboo, but I would recommend using, well, this isn't taboo, lighter products. Okay, so lighter products, and this is kind of like in general too. I found certainly keep the hair moisturized. And it sounds kind of backwards because you would think like, oh, heavier products or heavier oils, gels, they would keep the hair more moisturized. But um, something about when your hair is like less porous, it's hard to keep moisture inside of your hair. So think about if you use heavy oils or creams on your hair. If it's hard to get moisture in, it's probably also harder to keep moisture in. At least it is for me. I can only speak for myself. So, like if I put water on my hair and moisturize my hair, rose water, whatever else, and then put like a heavy oil on my hair or something like that, then the next day it'll feel kind of like dry because it's hard, that oil, it's heavy, so that it's hard for extra moisture to get into my hair because kind of oil and water don't mix. So if you put oil in your hair, the next day you go to spray your hair back with water to moisturize it, because oil doesn't really moisturize hair, it just seals in moisture mostly comes from water based things. So if you go to put oil over water or heavy butter or a heavy cream, then the next day when you want to re-moisture by using a water-based product, it probably won't penetrate your hair as much, especially because it's low porosity, and water and oil don't mix. So, not using heavy products is a great tip, I think, personally. If it doesn't work for you, then that's perfectly fine. And also, another tip, it's kind of like weaved in there, is using lighter oils, or maybe try not using oils at all. Now, I know a lot of people have commented on a couple of videos saying they need oils, and that's perfectly fine. For me, I've learned that the less oils that I use, and I mean direct oils, like, is my sound good? Let me know what's going on. Oh, and I mean like direct oils, such as, uh, put mixing olive oil with Jamaican black castor oil and putting that directly on my hair or something like that. But I use, to moisturize my hair, these mists from Free the Roots. I always put the link of them in my description box, and those have oils mixed in. So it's not like I don't use any sort of oil at all, but it's diluted so much so that it's not, oil is not the first ingredient. That has helped my hair tremendously be able to soak up moisture because, again, it just allows extra moisture to be able to like penetrate my hair after I've already moisturized in the days after like my wash day. Um, do you have any opinions on head scarves and head coverings in the starter phase? Yes, I think they're a great way to protect your hair um, in the beginning stages. I think head scarves and head wraps are great for all stages. Um, I think it's probably easier to wear head wraps in the starter phase. At least it was for me, because the less hair you have, the lighter weight your hair is on top of your head. But now when I go to like even like wear a bun, I was wearing a bun today pretty much all day, and right before I turned on the camera right here, I just like took it out because my head started hurting. So when you have your hair on top of your head, it's really difficult to wear head wraps for a long period of time. But it's great for like, especially those days when you're not really feeling your locks. So I enjoy them. Should I restart my locks if they bud too fast from the beginning stage? I wet my hair every day. but my mom, a hairstylist, said I shouldn't want it. Um, this has been something that's kind of like taboo. A lot of people think, a lot of people who have had their locks for some years think that some locticians who say that you should not wet your hair within, the first 3 to 6 months or whatever number they say, maybe 1 to 3 months. I don't know if I have it right. A lot of people who have had their locks for that time say that don't really listen to it, because the more that you wash your hair, the more that it does start to tangle up a lot more. And even though, especially if you have two strand twist starter locks, even though they can come apart, um, I would just retwist them, because you're just basically training your hair to stay in one place. So I personally did not follow that rule. And to answer your question, I think budding is good. So everybody I know who has locks, they want their hair to bud because they want it to lock up. So if it buds too fast, I don't see a problem in that. I, Most people want that want that happen because they want their hair to lock fast. Because in the beginning, it's like you're just like waiting and watching, taking all these pictures. I don't see a problem with wetting your hair in the first 4 to 5 months. I don't know how anybody can go with 4 to 5 months without washing their hair. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who's ever done that, but it just couldn't be me. Yeah. So like Brittany's life says, I've seen it to be more healthy to just wash your hair. Just go ahead and clean your scalp, especially because our scalp has like natural sebum that moisturizes our scalp from like the root. So not cleaning that can sometimes result in like smells that you don't want. Um, that smell like when somebody has oiled their scalp so much in that it's like they don't wash it for a long time, and you can just smell like all the oil and then all the sebum and then maybe like all the gym sessions from the past couple of weeks and it's like still there. Yeah. All right. So another tip I have to moisturize low porosity locks is maybe you want to put some steam on it, not heat, but steam. So if there are a couple of like steamers on the market, like hair steamers, especially made for that low porosity hair people, and I've seen a lot of natural hair YouTubers use them. So you can go ahead and look it up. I think one of them is called Q Redo. So if you are somebody who wants to use like oils or whatever you use to moisturize, creams, or maybe even like deep conditioners, I don't really recommend using a deep conditioner because most deep conditioners are creamy, and I just not really am for putting cream on your locks. But if you've been doing that, maybe you want to put steam on your hair before you do it or during it. So I used to think of when I was loosely natural, when I would do my deep conditioners, I would put a plastic bag over my head and then sit under the dryer. You can do that as well, but I just with locks wouldn't recommend heat. Excuse, excuse me, but steam is pretty. It can be pretty healthy for low porosity locks because it helps open the cuticles. I think the hair cuticles, so that those pores can now become more open and that it can absorb moisture before you put your products on there. So Poetic Justice says they've been using a mix of shea butter and coconut oil on their hair since it's a part of their skincare routine. Well, if it works for you, I would say go for it. Um, yeah, I know that coconut oil, I've seen a lot about a lot of people realizing that coconut oil was preventing extra moisture from getting in their hair, and even especially people with loose natural hair. So I that would be something I would be vigilant about, especially shea butter on your locks, because yeah, if you, I'm not sure if you're talking about your locks, poetic justice, or your hair, just in general. But especially shea butter is or can be just very difficult to even wash out of the hair. I remember I used to use a bar soap that had shea butter as the second ingredient. It wasn't even the first ingredient; it was the second ingredient, and it was a soap. So it wasn't even like I was using it as moisturization. I was using it to clean my locks. And I'm not sure what video I had. It was probably like a year ago that I shared that I had to stop using that soap. It was a shea moisture soap, and I had to stop using it because I realized I was getting buildup. And I lather, rinse, and repeat. So it wasn't even a thing like, oh, I was trying to leave it in my hair for moisture. No, I was washing my hair with the soap, but it just so happened that the shea butter, I could literally see residue, and it was like, yellowy, and it was even like sticky when um when I rubbed it. And it was all in my new growth, and I had to like do multiple cleanses to get it out. And that was soap. So that's why shea butter, putting that in your hair and leaving it in there, over time, you might not see like the results of, or that buildup right when you use it, but maybe a couple months in, or it won't even be later on until you see that there's some residue left over there. And then also I learned that we all have, everybody has lock buildup. Like everybody who has locks gets buildup, but they may not even see it because it's way within the middle of the lock. So all this lock right here is mature. I think you can even see it. All this lock right here is mature, right? But in the middle is all of the products that I've used, the shampoos, and even though I've washed most of it out, you know how you can go in the mirror, right? And then you can look very, very closely at your locks, and you can see these white cuticles sticking out sometimes. Those are even inside of your locks because your locks is a foundation. So there are things in within the locks that we cannot see, and there's some type of buildup or another. So even though it looks clean on the outside, there could also be some buildup on the inside. I've never tried bentonite clay, but I think I've heard some good things about it. Do you shampoo and condition, or just shampoo and moisturize? I don't use conditioner. I use shampoo. I use shampoo, my bar soap. The link is always in my description box of all of my videos. It's from Free the Roots. They're like my staple. I do use them. I literally use them, and I love them. Their shampoo bars. Sometimes I use the cool lemon one. Sometimes I use the cinnamon leaf. All of them are really great. I use to condition my hair. I know this sounds like it's not conditioning, but they're apple cider vinegar rinse. And it actually says clarifying, and what does it say? It labels it as clarifying and conditioning rinse. The apple cider vinegar rinse that they have is apple cider vinegar, but it's also rosemary tea, and the rosemary tea is what like moisturizes it. So after I use it, my hair feels cleansed, but it actually feels conditioned. So that's kind of like my conditioner. It's like a clarifier and conditioner. So that's kind of like what I use: apple cider vinegar rinse from Free the Roots, and then a shampoo. I shampoo. Usually, I lather, rinse, and repeat just twice. But if I need a deep cleanse, I'll do it 3 times. Recently, for uh, for the holidays, me and my family went to Dominican Republic. So I had a lot of salt water and stuff in my hair. I went to the pool so many times. So I had to like really deep cleanse it. And I lather, rinse, repeat 3 times. And I used the apple cider vinegar rinse. I filmed the video. Oh, I literally just posted it on Monday. Yeah. So if you want to go see that, go watch it. And wish you could feel my hair after that, because it was definitely moisturized. Yeah, so I do really believe that washing your hair more often does help your hair lock faster. It really does. It has to be some major itching. If you don't wash your hair, especially your locks, for 4 to 5 months, it would be different if you had loose natural hair, right? Because at least you can easily get to your scalp, right? But them parts, like if you're not really getting to your scalp and you're not really, I don't know, the flakes that gotta be flaking when you do this. All right, so I think that is all the tips that I have for low porosity locks. If you have any more tips for low porosity locks, leave it in the comments. So my tips for those who are just coming in, my tips for low porosity locks to moisturize them more are refraining from using like really heavy products to moisturize, such as creams, oil-based creams, and also butters, because like oil and butter, it's kind of the same consistency. And also adding some steam, or considering adding some a steamer before you condition, if you do condition, or before you moisturize your hair. Steamer really helps open up the cuticles of the hair, opens up the pores. If your hair is low porosity, then you want to get it a little bit of a higher porosity to be able to soak in more moisture. So steam really helps. Actually, every single time I get in the shower, I don't use a shower cap or anything like that. I used to use a Walmart bag, never bought a shower cap. If anything, I would use a Walmart bag. Why buy a shower cap when you got Walmart? So I used to use a Walmart bag. I don't use it anymore. The reason why I used to use it is because it was only when I used to do twist outs or braid outs, and I wanted my twist out to kind of like look like more wavy for longer. But I don't really do twist outs that much. So I just let the steam get to my hair every night when I'm in the shower, and that is that. So let me read some of these comments. You can tell you can tell when they just wetting their hair and not washing it. Yeah. You can tell. You definitely also want to, make sure your hair is all the way dry before you go to sleep. That is so important, especially if you have thicker locks. I definitely don't miss the itching when I used to use oils specifically for my scalp. Yeah. So one thing I noticed when I stopped using oils is that my scalp was a lot less itchy. Like, and we're gonna get to this later on for the tip about how to know when you want to lock your hair. But those who may have not started locks yet, but they want to, know that there's a possibility or a high potential for your hair to change when you do get locks. Like your loose natural hair, what it likes, what oils you use, what products you use, that's going to change probably a lot once you do get locks. Even though it's the same hair in your head, but your hair is in a different form, a more natural form. So I used to use oils all the time when I had loose natural hair. I had no problem. No problem. It was itching, but every time it itched, I either put some aloe on it or put some um, olive oil, Jamaican black castor oil. Um, and those were pretty much, sometimes peppermint oil. Now, no oil, no problem. I get no itching. And sometimes in the beginning stages of your locks, you just get more itching because your hair is getting used to being in that state for so long. Let's see some of these comments. So, says, yes, I wash my hair before every retwist, but spray it every day, which your mom has been telling you not to do. A first couple retwists never stayed under the dryer. What do you spray it with? Spray it every day, like with water? Well, I mean, that's another thing. Like, I think it's okay to get your hair wet. When you first get locks, I think it's okay to get it wet. If you When I first started my journey, I followed West Indie Ray. Um, Still love her YouTube channel, and she talked about using salt water from the sea, from the actual ocean, and sprayed that on her locks constantly, and that helped her hair lock faster. Now, I'm sure it was some dryness of the salt, right? And also dryness of the salt, and the water in the salt in the sea is probably a little bit different than the water that comes out of your faucet. However, that water, that moisture. Think about when you had loose natural hair, you go to wash your hair. What do you need to do afterwards? You need to detangle it, because even if it was detangled before, once you wash your hair, it's probably gotten a little bit more tangled, right? So think about locks. If you go to wash your hair and you're doing all of this and you're wringing it out, don't you think your hair is that don't you think that water is helping your hair tangle up? Because if you have natural hair is naturally curly or wavy or whatever pattern you have, those curls are just intertwining with each other the more and more you get it wet. That's my logic. That's what makes more sense to me. So I just have no idea why locticians, I'm not knocking it, but it doesn't make sense in my head why um they would tell people to refrain from water. It just doesn't make sense. It makes all the right sense in my mind to make it tangle up more by using that water. And then also with using water, I did start using distilled water more when I do spray my hair during my maintenance days on wash day, like when I would need to put moisture back in it, when I'm like parting my sections or popping my locks. I'll use distilled water instead of the water from my faucet, because the water is like hard water. So distilled water is a lot, it can be a lot better for your hair. So your locks been weighed down a little bit since using the shea butter. Yep. So that it will do that. It will literally do that. So I'll just really be careful of that, because you never know. Doing that consistently as well, our locks are in its most natural form. So it knows kind of like how heavy it's supposed to be, how long it's even supposed to be, because all it's just a natural process, right? So when we're unnaturally like making it more heavy than it needs to be, it kind of can become more than what it can even carry, what our strands can even carry, and that is sometimes also what can cause breakage, especially because you're probably the bottom of your hair has the most product buildup that your hair will ever have, because the bottom of your hair is the oldest part of your hair. So that's the part that's been getting the most moisturization routines, wash day routines, products put in it. And the beginning of our hair is new, so it probably doesn't have that much product buildup in it. It's all in the bottom. So if this bottom is just like way down and it's pulling at the rest of your hair, that is something that I think in my mind can cause breakage, because it's just pulling your hair down, down, down. And our hair, like when you shake it, it should move. Like it should not like stay there, And if it's staying there, maybe there's something that has to be done there and changed up. So yeah. I've never used rosemary oil. I've never used rosemary oil, but like I said, the apple cider vinegar rinse that I use to deep cleanse my hair on some wash days, it has rosemary tea in it. But I personally do not use oils on my scalp, direct oils. The mist that I use does have oil in it, but I don't use oils directly on my scalp or hair. So never use it, but I'm sure since rosemary tea is very moisturizing for my hair, because it's in the apple cider vinegar rinse, I'm sure rosemary oil is beneficial as well. So okay, all right. Read some of the rest of these. Why would I ever retwist? Uh, Not knocking retwists or anything. We have a couple of different parties here in the chat. Like we have like, those who like get their retwists, and I love looking at like retwist videos. They're beautiful. However, I have found that sometimes retwisting is tedious, especially when your locks get longer, and then also. Um, Brittany's I said my locks are so thick I'm over retwisting. I feel that because once I realize I have to twist my hair and then pin it to the other one and then do the same thing, it's like and it when I did used to retwist, I only started retwisting within the first 5 months of my personal walk journey, and it wouldn't stay for like more than 4 or 5 days. I used to use aloe vera gel. So like sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm over it. Y'all can just do what y'all want to do. Talking to my hair, yeah, my hair can just do what they want to do. That's cool. Oh, it just says I retwist my high top dreads about every 3 weeks. Cool. Yeah, that's what's up. That's like a good. I feel like when you do get your hair retwist, I feel like that's like a good medium, especially for high top locks, because I know that um when you, if, especially for getting the shape ups, if you do get shape ups or you know lineups, you know um if you get your locks retwisted before the lineup, it will make sure you get your locks retwisted before the lineup so they'll know where the line is. I've heard that good tip for my men on here, or my people, men, woman, person who has high top locks or gets lineups. Yes, salute to you. Salute to all the locks. Salute to all the heads of locks. All right. How about if you're a gym rat? How do you manage your locks without using any oils? Um, okay, it's a good question. So when I was using oils, I found that um, it would kind of, it's like my scalp couldn't breathe. It's like, okay, when I did sweat, or when I was like out in humidity or something like that, and I started sweating or like getting hot, so my scalp couldn't really breathe. So it's like using the oils, like kind of like, or not using oils, kind of like freed my scalp from that. But if you if you are going to the gym and you're talking about like the smell that you sometimes get, or to keep it fresh, I would say peppermint oil or tea tree oil, because it, and also because those are like essential. No, they're not essential oils. Peppermint can no tea tree uses essential oil. Peppermint is essential oil. You can use that in a diffuser. Of course, I know that. But they're like stronger oils, and you have to, or you're gonna want to dilute them in something else. So a lighter oil, or like jojoba oil that's very light, or um jojoba oil. That's all I can think of right now. But like another light oil, you probably want to dilute it in there. And then that, if you're talking about the smell or like the freshness of your locks, that is a very good combination to mitigate that. Or maybe even like lavender oil. Mm-hmm. All right. So um, I'm going to get to these tips for getting thicker semi-freeform locks. So one thing that I had learned is that a lot of people may think that they have breakage when you see that at the root of your locks. You are actually, no. Let me do this. Let me like answer like the rest of the questions here, and then I'll go to that. Sorry, I should need to, in my mind, need to be organized. Do I like any other questions? Okay, yeah, distill water with peppermint oil. Peace, peace. When can you do rope twists on starter locks? I would say like month month 7 to 8 or 9. Like when they at least get into the teenage phase. I think I just talk a long time to the chat. Like there's so many things in the chat that I want to look at. Yeah, carrier oil. Thank you, Becoming Talia. Thank you, carrier oil. That's what I meant to say. Best way to connect your locks for thickness. Um, I don't know because mine was trial and error, but I would say the two strand twist method is good. However, I've seen a lot of people use the crochet method and or maybe two strand twist them together, and then while you're two strand twisting, crochet them to kind of like lock them together like instantly. Um, I personally used the two strand twist method on this lock right here. So this is when I first connected it. And so it just became a Congo because this is two locks into one. And ever since then, I just like braided my new growth around my locks, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And it got thicker at the roots. So yeah, I just two strand twisted it around itself, but it just didn't want to stay twisted. Um, so yeah, just didn't want to stay twisted. So I just let it become a Congo. Okay. Yep. So I will answer that, Margaret. I will answer that question of how do you handle your new growth when you don't want to retwist. Great. That's a great transition into like tips for getting thicker semi-freeform locks. Because my first tip will be that mind your new growth by noticing how it looks. A lot of people may think they're getting breakage with their new growth when they have like thick locks and they don't retwist because I know I personally like just get frizzies coming out, right? But if you pull those frizzies hairs out and they're like all the way to here, it because my hair's pretty long. If I pulled it out and it came all the way to here, that's not breakage. That's my new growth, but it's not growing into my locks. Some people can just easily freeform their locks or semi-freeform their locks, meaning they just maybe section off the hair or maybe don't do anything with their hair to start off locks. They just start with the afro and they just wash their hair and go and don't do any type of separation, or maybe semi freeform locks when they twist it and then they don't do anything, or maybe they do some type of palm rolling once a month. Semi freeform is very like whatever you make it. I'm semi freeform, but it may not exactly look like semi freeform all the time because I realized that with my new growth growing away from my locks, it looks like breakage when I get like fuzzy hairs. But it's just that I have to put my new growth inside of my lock or back around my lock or back into a section so that it can lock in with the locks. So what I do to maintain my semi-freeform locks because I don't want to retwist is I braid my new growth around my locks. And I have a video on that. It is one of my routine. Maybe I can drop the link in the chat. It's one of my hair routines about like it's the title is like how my new growth grows away from my locks. So here's what I do. And I basically make two sections with my new growth and then one more section with my lock. And then I just literally like braid it into my locks. This is exactly what it sounds like. And when I started doing that, I realized my hair, you can make your locks a lot thicker growing in when all the new growth is in a section. So it's just basically putting all the new growth in a section. Here it is. Boom. And then boom. I just dropped it. So that's the video of me braiding my new growth into my locks. And also, if you don't want to retwist, you can palm roll your new growth into your locks. I wish I had some frizzy hairs to show you, but I don't really have them right now. But just say this frizzy right here. Say if this was like at the beginning of my lock, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's breakage. Nah, it's not really breakage. It's just your new growth is growing away from your lock. So what you can do is just take it in between your hands right here. Make sure you do wet it though. Um, Please moisturize your locks whenever you're doing any type of maintenance on it. But to palm roll, you basically just take whatever loose strands are here and then just take your hands, take a lock in between the hands and roll left and right until, oh, it's very stubborn. Basically, just roll it left and right until, oh, there it goes. So you can sit there and do that for all of your locks. I know that literally braiding every lock um may sound tedious, especially if you have more locks than me, because I have 74. So for me, my routine when I do braid my new growth into my locks, it probably takes about 2 hours, but that would be a lot less than if I palm rolled or retwisted. And also, I don't do it every single time. So you may not do this maintenance every single time, whether you're palm rolling, whether you're braiding your new growth into your locks, or the third option. Here you go. Some people like interlock their new growth into their locks. My brother used to do that, but the way he was doing it, he would like see when you. Oh, by the way, when you interlock, you have this crochet needle that has a very thin little hook on the end, and you take the frizzy hairs and you like puncture. Basically, you puncture your lock and then you go out and in, out and in, out and in with the needle. But what my brother was doing, he was like twisting the lock and then out and in, out and in, and twisting it out and in. And what I saw, I feel like if he kept doing that, it was going to kind of like break his locks off. So I told him to stop doing that. And but I feel like if you just keep it straight and you can like see these frizzies right here, if I just take a crochet needle and puncture my locks and grab the hairs with the crochet needle and just go in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, um, I could mend the new growth inside of my lock. So there are those are the three things that I think of when it comes to maintaining your new growth. If you're concerned about thinning, my number one option out of all three of those would be braiding your new growth into your locks, because for me, in my opinion, it seems the least damaging to your locks. I find that palm rolling often or can make your locks even thinner. So if you're worried about thinning, maybe palm rolling wouldn't be your number one choice. But then I've also seen for some people crocheting, doing the crochet interlocking method makes their locks thinner. I've seen some people crochet their locks and coming from palm rolling, it makes their locks thicker. So it really just depends with you and your hair. Yes, so your locks can end up thinning, um, especially if they're weighed down by product. Yes. All the low porosity different I see says to layer oil. Oh, I see to layer oil after adding the moisture so that it stays. I know you don't use oils. Do you have trouble retaining moisture? No, I don't. I don't. Um, and you know what? I actually moisturize my hair less. It's crazy. I don't know. Like I when I did used to use oils, if I if I squeeze my hair, it would sound a lot more crunchy than this. Like my hair is actually soft right now. Um and when I used to use oils, it's like there was like a film over my hair. You know when trying to think of like, oh, you know when there's a cake what's that cake called? Like a rum cake or like a one of them sponge cakes. What them called? What them cakes called? Like a lemon cake, right? And it's like a round cake. And then they put that glaze over it, and that glaze, whenever you like take a fork and you slowly like pick at that glaze, it's like it's flaking off, and it's like a film over top of it. Yeah, that's what I feel like the oil made over my locks, if that makes any sense. So I feel like that film over top of it made it a lot more crunchy, but now it's not even like I have to moisturize my hair much at all, because I don't know. I don't know. I just like took away oils, and I only spray it like maybe once or twice a week. Spray my scalp. I spray my scalp more often, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. I spray my scalp, and I use the same product to spray my scalp. I use the Free the Roots hydrating mist, and then on my hair, I use the Free the Roots hydrating mist. I use most of the time I use the scent lemon herb, but other times I might use the pine mist one. The link is always in my description box. But no, I did not have problems with that. Retaining moisture. Can palm rolling make your dreads or your locks reduce that curl or bounce look in your opinion? Yes, it can definitely. Because when you palm roll your locks, it's like you're making it more cylindrical. You're making it more kind of like uniform, which yes can take away the natural curl of your locks. If I had always palm rolled my locks, you probably wouldn't be able to see. You see this? You can even see it's not much light in my space, but you can even see like the difference from when I started my lock. I started with the two strand twist probably like right here, and over time, my locks have matured, so it's kind of like bunched up. But you can literally like tell the difference. It's bumpy and then smooth. My other locks, they're bumpy, and I've never palm rolled, never ever ever bumpy. And once you palm roll, it kind of takes that bumpiness away, because over time it kind of like flattens the bumpiness, but also just makes it more round. I also have flat locks, so I'm kind of late on a. These earphones are hurting my ear. I'm kind of late on a 2 year update on my lock journey. So when I do my 2 year update, I was going to talk about how my locks are becoming flat and how I don't really care, and how I actually think they're kind of cool. And if I palm rolled, it probably wouldn't be flat. A lot of people have asked me, how do I prevent flat locks? I'll say, well, you can palm roll your locks or retwist them more often. But if you have thicker locks, having your locks become flat is probably somewhat just going to happen. Um, Excuse me. Would I ever dye my locks? Nope. I wouldn't say never. Never say never, right? But nope. As of now, no. Salad ass salad ass. I'm sorry. Uh, I wanted to read the first part as salad. Salad ass. I'm sorry. That was funny. You're a beautiful spirit, fly free, and know that love follows you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I noticed most of my locks in the back of my head are starting to get super flat. What do you suggest do differently in your opinion to get that circular motion cylinder back? Yeah, like I said, you can palm roll them more often, or and also when you do palm roll, use water. Make sure it's moisturized, because when you use water, it gets the locks a little more malleable. And if it's only in the back of your head, maybe that is because I don't know. Do you use hats or a lot of head wraps? Do you sleep on the back of your head? Um, but if it's the back of your head, it's probably like mostly at the root. So yeah, I'd say if you palm roll or retwist more so, then you could possibly get that back, get that cylindrical shape back. All right, is that okay? Some more tips for getting semi-freeform locks. Getting thicker semi-freeform locks. I gave all my tips already. It was the three options are like with your new growth, you could do the interlocking with crocheting. You could braid your hair, your new growth into my locks like I do. How to know when you want your how do you know when you want to lock your hair? So if you haven't already locked your hair, how to know when you do want to do it is like when you know it's time. Um, even if you do, even if you do get your locks and you're like, I don't like the shape or I want more locks and you decide to combine them or whatnot, it's like the mindset that you go into with your journey is sort of kind of sets your journey off to how it may evolve. If you're more worried about the look of your locks, then that will probably be the thing that influences your journey the most. But if you're worried more so about, or if you're not worried about any of that, if you're just like, I'm tired of doing my hair, so I'm not going to do it anymore. If you are expecting low or no maintenance at all, maybe that's not what reality is going to give you, because maybe you want to start maintaining your locks, or maybe you start out with freeform locks and you decide maybe I should have done traditional locks or however when you know that you want to lock your hair, it's like some for most people probably somewhere in your spirit it's just telling you that it's time to do that, because you're just allowing the outside to match what you feel on the inside. And if you feel like your hair wants to be free or you're free on the inside, then on the outside, it will probably start reflecting that. The way that I knew that I wanted to lock my hair was pretty, um, I have been thinking about it for 2 or 3 years. And for the past year before I locked my hair, I was wearing just like so many protective styles, and most of them were faux locks, like short faux locks, long faux locks. I never had the butterfly lock, but I just kept doing faux locks. So I was like, why don't I just do the real locks? Why don't I just do the real locks, you know? And then I was doing box braids and mini twists. So I was like, why don't I do mini twists and then keep the mini twists in and then lock them? Um, I noticed. Okay. Yeah, sleeping with a bonnet. Yes. Thank you, Poetic Justice. Sleeping with a bonnet will, if you're not sleeping with a bonnet right now and you're sleeping, with a wave cap or with a do rag, I feel kind of fly. I love that song. I don't know if I may get copyrighted for that. Um, Dragon Ball do rag by Thundercat. If you sleep with a do rag on, that might make your locks flat, especially in the back. So I had this in a video. I'm not sure what video, but whatever you use to sleep in will have your hair kind of like molded within that shape. So if you sleep with your hair, if you sleep with your hair constricted, then it will constrict your hair in your sleep. And you know our cells develop in our sleep, right? So we grow and we rejuvenate in our sleep. So your hair, your locks over time is going to rejuvenate like that in that same form, pretty much. There's a lot of alternatives than a do-rag or than a wave cap. There's sleeping on a silk or satin pillowcase, which, yeah, it's cool. However, think about you don't wash your hair every day. So, but you wash your face every day. So if your face is constantly touching the same thing that your dirty hair is touching, think about that. You're tossing and turning, and so pillowcases, yeah, they are nice. So pillowcases, they are nice, like to reduce frizz and everything like that, and to condition your hair. But sanitary wise, I don't think they're very smart. They just don't logically make sense in my head, and unless you're sleeping with a bonnet and then a silk pillowcase underneath it to have like two layers of protection. Another one is oh, thank you, Rosie. Um Another thing you can do is like have a long bonnet. So I have a really long bonnet, and some people like see me with my bonnet on, and my partner he sees my bonnet on, and it's like going down to my back. He's like, "Your locks aren't even that long. Why you have a long bonnet on?" And I'm like, "Well, they're gonna be that long." So make room for your how your hair is gonna grow. And then also, a bonnet just gives your hair, your locks, extra time to expand and contract in your sleep. Because, like I said, like kind of like in the beginning of this live stream, like my locks are always shrinking, lengthening, shrinking, lengthening, and then they're expanding. Sometimes they look thicker, sometimes they look thinner, sometimes. So that also happens in your sleep. So if you're wearing a do-rag, you're kind of like restricting your hair from doing that. Bonnets are bonnets are life. Yeah, if you sleep on the back of your head, I mean, just there's not many ways that you can get around that. There really is not. Hey, Rosie, are you still working out a lot? No, I don't work out a lot. Mm, I walk. I walk, and then I practice yoga. So my yoga practice is like I sweat sometimes. I wouldn't say it is working out, but I am physically active, but not in terms of like going to the gym. So I wouldn't say I even like sweat like a person who goes to the gym 5 or 6 times a day. I'm physically active, so my way that I keep my locks fresh is I don't use a lot of products. I feel like the more product that you use, especially on your scalp, it will start to just be less fresh throughout the week. Also, if you know that you're more active in certain parts of the year or just all the time, maybe you can shorten the length of time in between your washes. If you wash your hair every 2 weeks, maybe wash your hair every week and a half. In the summer, I usually wash my hair every week and a half. In the winter, I wash my hair every 2 weeks, just because also in the winter, my hair is usually more dry. So you don't want to deprive it of moisture. It can get maybe go a little longer, get a little bit more moisture in there. Um, Also, like I said earlier, I don't use oils in my locks. I feel like when I did use oils in my locks, it was just like extra layers of gunk on my locks, maybe that I missing out on now since I don't pile product on top of locks. But I know most people, excuse me, really need to use oils, excuse me again, on their locks to keep them fresh. Water and argan oil. Argan oil is good. I think argan oil is a good hydration oil. Yeah. So okay. So not sure how you go to through with a retwist with minimal products. So I would say you can use no oil. I'm sorry, not no oil, no gel. Like you can use an oil, a light oil, such as maybe your argan oil or um, olive oil or whatever, to retwist, or possibly aloe vera gel or aloe vera juice. I used to use aloe vera gel. It was a good retwist. In general, it just didn't last, but I think that's just like how thick my locks were. You can use distilled water. Um, if anybody who else has something that they use for their root twist in the chat, drop it in the chat because those are all the things that I've seen. For minimal product, also, maybe you can wait possibly until after your retwist is done to oil your scalp if you do oil your scalp. Mm. Don't make me start singing Thundercat. Yeah, for real. His music is so eclectic. Any special kind of diet you can suggest to maintain your locks? This is no. Well, the answer is no because like I think there are different diets that work for everybody. Like I know what diet works for me, and there's so many things that go into diet, right? When you talk about like your blood type, I've seen people only diet for their blood type, or they only eat things that go with their along with their blood type, or they only eat things that don't contain certain, dairy or gluten things. So, or if they're in a certain workout program. So I can't really say a certain diet. I would say if you are on a path that is spiritual for you, I would certainly refrain from dairy. Just because I won't go too into the science, but the pineal gland is a center, an information center. I don't even know if you can really call it that, but it's a part of your brain that a lot of people, or part of consciousness that a lot of people don't get to awaken because certain dairy products can calcify it, or just it's like putting mist in front of our eyes. And so we're not awakened to a lot of things because of the things that we eat, such as dairy, sometimes meat, especially red meat, some types of fish. What else? I would say eat the rainbow. That's one of the best things I can tell somebody. Eat the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. Like eat. Does anybody eat purple cabbage? Who know about purple cabbage? I love purple cabbage. Red, orange, yellow, green. Roy G. Biv on your plate. Like everything is in a spectrum. Like think about if you're familiar with the chakras, or if you believe in chakras, or if you don't, even if you don't believe in them, it's still there. It's still physically there. Like all of our organs, from our spine to our heart to our throat to our pineal gland to the hair on our head, the crown of our head, chakras all correlate with those organs and their functions and the spiritual function that they provide. So it's just all there. That's one of the best things I could give you. Yeah, that was a great question. Thank you for that. And drink your water. Drink your water. Oh, you think you're gonna need to wash weekly coming from a loose natural? Yes. So, depending on how long ago you started your locks, you're probably going to want to see how you can change up how often you wash your hair, right? Because sometimes when you have loose natural hair, you can go like 2 weeks without washing your hair. Then when you get locks, it starts to itch more, especially in the starter lock phase. It starts to itch more because our locks are learning to stay in one place. So you may need to bump up your like washing schedule. Yeah, I wouldn't even like say that I am vegan. Well, I'm not vegan, um, because I feel vegan. I mean, more power to everybody who's vegan. My friends call me vegan, but it's not really accurate. I mean, I be having ice cream every now and again when I want to. I have eggs every now and again. Right now, for this month, I'm not eating any meat or dairy. I even went back to eating fish. I personally found that for myself when I started eating a vegan diet, because I was at one time vegan, I would say, or plant based, that I started eating more plant based substitutes like soy based products, tofu or Beyond Meat burgers and Impossible burgers. And even though those are nice, they shouldn't be regular. They should only be once in a while because some of those meat alternatives, they can have just as much processing and more sodium and more of the bad stuff that is in the meat. The thing about the meat for me, or eating meat especially, it's kind of different from dairy, but yes, it's the processing that the animals go through. It's the harming of the animals and also the harming of like the communities around those processing plants. But then also it is the processing of what it does, what consuming that processed food does to our bodies. And so when you go from not eating meat because of that processing, because that's what's negative, and then you go to other food that's not meat, but it's still processed, to me, it somehow does not add up. So that is why I once was vegan, but I wasn't doing it in a way that was actually like benefiting me. It wasn't. Yeah, it's very high in sodium. It can be very, very high in sodium. But more power to people who like grow their own plants, cook all of their own food. They have their own gardens. They know where their food comes from because that's where the real power comes in. And that stuff can sometimes take time. So um, I feel it's a real priority when you're able to watch every single thing almost that you're putting in your body. Plenty of water. Love your video on glowing from the inside out. Yeah, that was the essence of the message. Well, thank you. Yeah, I have a couple videos like that. Um, if anybody has any video requests, let them be known. Um, Otherwise, or if anybody has any questions, let them be known. I'm about to probably close it out in a little bit. It's been nice chatting with you all this evening. We hit on some good topics. Yes, drink plenty of water. A lot of us are drinking water, but like not as much as we probably should be. Like we think we're drinking water, we think we're drinking the recommended amount of water for ourselves, but we're not really doing that. I'm gonna try to go live twice a month. If you all want to follow, or if you all are interested in deepening your mindfulness practice, excuse me, um, check out my membership, yoga and meditation memberships on my website, Holistic Fit Meditation, holisticfitmeditation.com. You can check out either meditation. We do classes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, live stream classes with me. And also you get yoga classes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 30 minutes each. And then we also do live stream Q&As within that community, within that yoga meditation. When you and TP Locs doing a collab. Man, we talked about it. We never got around to it. Me and TP actually talked about doing a collab. I reached out to him with doing a collab. He was like, he he got back in touch with me a little while later. So we still doing this collab. I said, well, yeah. What you want to do? We still haven't got it together, but we gonna get it together. I'm gonna get back in touch. I gotta get back in touch with TP Locs. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you on the next one. I'm having my what video is coming out this Monday? Ooh, this Monday I'm having a video about kind of like a little bit about my health journey, about a challenge that I went through in 2020 that I'm just now seeing the benefits of why I had to go through some things that I went through. But 2020 was, I know it was a year for a lot of people. It was a year for me, but like in a different way. And so I kind of like tell some things that I went through and like how it how I overcame some spiritual warfare in that. Thank you guys. Well, I'll go ahead and sign off. Y'all have a great rest of your evening, morning, or afternoon. Thank you for your love and support. Much love to you all. Thank you. I'm glad you all enjoy the content. You all really help my channel thrive and not just survive. And I'm so here for that. This is my passion. And yeah, I like to say this is not my channel. This is our channel. So thank y'all for keeping it going and flowing holistically. All right, y'all. Peace, love, and joy. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.